Hey Fred, how you doing?
Okay, John, how are you, man?
Good to see you.
Hey, it looks like your hand's cold.
Yeah, it is. I've got my little my warm mitten on.
Okay. Well, greetings once again and welcome to another episode of Fred and John Talks on YouTube. As always, we ask that our viewers that if you like what you see and hear, please like, share, and subscribe, and spread the word, electronically or in person with your friends and family. We love doing this. It springs from the foundation of our friendship and the fact that we both worked in the helping professions for a combined 80 years, and we still have a heart for helping people. So today we're in response to the constant feedback we're getting from our viewers, and how many the numbers are in the hundred, up to over 400 viewers of our episodes on loneliness and mental health. So in response to that, we're going to once again go deeper into the topic. John is going to speak in the first half or more about more specifics, going deeper into what the government in the UK is doing, and now also in Japan, and how we have in our heart of hearts, we hope that a national conversation can happen here in America. So with that, I say, take it away, John.
Thank you, Fred. So I'm going to read to you from the document from the British government that's titled Government's Work on Tackling Loneliness. I think tackling is a very interesting word. It's used in soccer, correct?
It's used in American football.
And American football. So
they don't tackle each other in European football, meaning soccer. It's odd that they would use that. But from an American English point of view,
it's a good word.
Tackling the problem.
Correct.
Yeah, good word.
I like it, and this is a government document from the UK. By the way, Fred, and our viewers, this comes from the Department for Culture, Media and Sport, and Departments of Digital, Culture, Media and Sport. So I find that interesting that the UK government considers media very important and sport very important, and culture. So culture and loneliness are linked. Very, very much so, right?
Yeah.
They're tackling loneliness matters to everyone. They're saying in their documentation that everyone should be concerned about loneliness. Individuals, employers, communities, especially employers. Don't you think? Because if somebody's lonely, not productive, missing work, there are issues with loneliness and in the workplace. And of course, educators have to deal with loneliness too, in terms of their children or their kids that they're teaching, who may be isolated and not in touch with their parents, or they're not in touch with other kids and aren't socializing.
It's society-wide.
It's society-wide, yes.
There's no one immune to it, and no one goes untouched by it.
Correct. And of course, health professionals have to spend a lot of time identifying and making sure they understand that the person they're talking with or trying to treat or trying to manage or to help, whether loneliness is a factor. The document goes on to say that supporting people to have meaningful social relationships is not just crucial to people's physical and mental health, it also affects their engagement in the workplace and the wider community. So we all need to take action to tackle loneliness across society, and government can play an important role. Now, whenever I first read this document that was started by Jo Cox, she was the member of Parliament back in 2017 and 18. They got Parliament on board to make this a government nationwide project. I never in my wildest dreams would have thought that government would tackle loneliness. Yeah. Can you see that happening here in the United States?
It's kind of hard to imagine.
We have a lot of problems that we don't address in America, but this is one of them we really, really should.
that and the mental health system, which is why people respond to our episodes on mental health.
Well, mental health and loneliness are
They often go together.
intertwined.
Yeah.
So
Tell us about the three main objectives.
Yes, so the three main objectives that were set out in 2018 and which continue through into 19, 20, 21, right up to 23. We're going to go through those. Each one of these is being longitudinally studied. Longitudinally, data is being collected on it so that the government can compare where they were in 18, 19, 20, and 23, etc.
Gauge their progress.
Yes. So the first objective is pretty big. It's called Reduce the Stigma by Building the National Conversation about Loneliness.
There's that term, national conversation.
So that people feel able to talk about loneliness and reach out for help. Wow.
Yeah.
Can you imagine seeing an alert on our television screen about the U.S. government?
I'd love to, but again, it ties in with mental health because there's so much stigma about that. There's no real national conversation. It's all, the mental health care system is all piecemeal. But I don't want to take us off topic. Please continue.
Well, the mental health field is also broken.
Yes.
Big time. I mean, it's not really virtually helpful at all.
There is no system.
Yeah, there is no
it's
system.
piecemeal and catch as catch can.
So maybe government should help do something about that too.
Yeah. That's for another episode, but
Yes.
yeah.
Number 2 objective is to drive a lasting shift so that relationships and loneliness are considered in policy making and delivery by organizations in the government as well as nonprofits and across society, so that there will be support and an amplification to make an impact so that organizations can really help connect people. Wow, that's pretty powerful statement.
This is good stuff. I mean, they really, a lot of thought and work went into these objectives.
I like the phrase drive a lasting shift. That means legislative, and from what I've read, this means monetarily supporting and funding. It means funding organizations and government transportation services, social services. It's quite a compelling and quite an overarching document. The third objective is play our part. That's interesting. The government is saying they will play their part.
They have a part to play.
They have a part to play in improving the evidence base on loneliness. So they're not only codifying, legislating, but they're also trying to accumulate data and information. Which, let's just take an example. If America was doing such a thing, if we had such a minister for loneliness or a department like that, maybe clubs like Lions Club, Kiwanis Club, other non-governmental organizations could reach out to this department and say, what could we do?
Yeah.
How can you help us?
Partnerships.
Partnerships. Give us ideas. What's working, what's not working.
Yeah.
So the government's trying to make a compelling case to take action.
Government of the UK.
Yes, the government of the UK. So it's not just the government of the UK accumulating data and using computers to ascertain whether the expenditure of money is working or whether the money they're spending on transportation or the money they're spending on organizations and nonprofits to improve the status, which they're trying to accumulate data on. They want to make a compelling case for action.
They want to do something about it.
Yes. So once
Not just study it.
No, not just study it. They were trying to come up with ideas to put into action. So once they do that, then they feel in their document that everyone, including government as non-government agencies, will have the information that they need, the information you need to take action and make informed decisions through these challenging times. So those are the three objectives that were set out in 2018. Reduce the stigma, national conversation about loneliness. 2 is drive a lasting shift, make a difference through funding and supporting organizations, both governmental and non-governmental. And the third is that it shows the government has a role, recognizing the role that they have in accumulating evidence to share with other government organizations and indeed other governments.
Yeah, and to amplify the point,
like Japan.
I wouldn't be at all surprised if part of the reason this Jo Cox, what's her name?
Jo Cox was
Jo
a member of
Cox
Parliament.
was motivated by recognizing that loneliness affects society in many different ways. Missed work days, and other social ills that are the result of chronic loneliness.
Yes.
Yeah.
So those are the three things that I think I wanted to bring to our viewers' attention. There's more to the documentation that we'll go into at a later date, but trying to tackle each one of these objectives across a longitudinal basis is kind of difficult and complicated. But I think the next time we bring up these three objectives, I'm going to go just straight to 2023. I think the last report was in March of 2023.
Yeah, you had mentioned that.
That summarizes where the government is on those three objectives.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay, very good.
So what have you got for us today, Fred?
Well, I'm gonna my input to the topic today is going to be cultural, and we're back to songs, but this is not part of. We did a episode called Name That Tune, which was just all for fun, but I am going to talk about songs and one movie on the topic of loneliness. So
Did we get any good feedback about your singing?
No.
No.
No, which surprises me not at all. Okay, so I'm going to start with when I was looking up. I know a lot of songs that are about loneliness. In fact, in our last video or the video before, I made the comment that, it's like when you learn a new word, whether you read it and have to look it up in the dictionary or what, then all of a sudden after that you're seeing it everywhere. Well, it's a parallel with the topic of loneliness. I had mentioned that when I started to experience deep loneliness in the aftermath of my separation and divorce, songs that I was listening to, whether on the radio or on my Spotify, Pandora, how many songs were about loneliness. So that's going to be
and about breakups.
Well, here's how it reads. Sadly, loneliness never goes out of style. Before I continue, I skipped over the point that, our starting point is that loneliness is part of the human condition.
Yes.
But we're not talking here, we're going deeper. We're not talking here just in the general, undeniable fact that loneliness is part of the human condition. We're talking about it when it disrupts lives, when it destroys lives, in the case of suicides, and we're talking about it when it's chronic. But this paragraph reads, forgive me for repeating, sadly, loneliness never goes out of style, musically speaking. The website songfacts.com, song, S-O-N-G, facts, F-A-C-T-S.com, lists 208 songs about social isolation, many, predictably, the result of romantic breakups. Herewith is a random selection of 10 lonely songs in no particular order that provide a backdrop for the emerging research on loneliness. And this is all from website. Anyway, that is my first sharing about that. I'm going to cite songs that just came to me that I know of and the artists who sang them and make some comments on each one. There's an old song called Hey There Lonely Girl by Eddie Holman. And I know I have gotten this complaint before from some friends who watch they said, when you did Name That Tune, you did all songs from the 60s and 70s, mention some contemporary songs. And I'm going to slip at least one, maybe two contemporary songs into the topic. By the Young Rascals, I've been lonely too long, lonely so long, he been lonely. In the past it's come and gone, I feel like I can't go on without love. He's been lonely too long. The next one is by Carmen, called All By Myself. And it starts off, all by myself, don't want to live all by myself anymore.
Oh,
that hints toward ending his life.
Yeah, I would think I'd be worried if somebody came in and sat down in my office and told me those words.
Indeed. The next song is by Etta James, and it's called At Last. At last, my love has come along. My lonely days are over, and life is like a song. That's more on an upbeat note, but she's saying that at long last, she's found love, and so her lonely days are over.
And she compares love to a song.
Yes.
Like an uplifting.
Yes. That's a very popular song, Etta James. Two by Elvis Presley. Only the Lonely.
Oh, one of my favorites.
Only the lonely know the way I feel tonight. And then the very sad song, Are You Lonesome Tonight? And goes on from there, but I'm not going to bore you with the whole song.
You can't croon like Elvis.
I can't croon like Elvis. Now, this is from a Beatles song, and I have a little factoid to throw in here. This is Eleanor Rigby. Loneliness isn't even in the title, but listen to the song Eleanor Rigby, which includes the line, ah, look at all the lonely people.
Oh, yes, I remember that.
Where do they all come from? Where do they all belong? But the factoid about this song I just want to throw in for fun is that I came across this, I wasn't looking for it. There's only one song that the Beatles recorded in which all four of them do not play a single instrument. It's all orchestral, and it's Eleanor Rigby. Listen to the song. You won't hear a guitar, you won't hear a drum. And if you do hear a drum, it'll be part of the orchestra.
So it's kind of like not a cappella.
Not a cappella. It's orchestral. There's there's a lot of violins, but that's the only song in the Beatles' vast repertoire that they played no musical instruments on. The next one is by Al Green. It's called "Tired of Being Alone." I'm so tired of being alone. I'm so tired of being on my own. Won't you help me, girl, as soon as you can? And you notice once again, won't you help me, girl? And how loneliness so much is tied in with lacking love and looking for love. Love is an antidote to loneliness.
And I'm so tired of being on my own.
Yes.
Same phrase as loneliness.
I'm so tired of being alone. I'm so tired of being on my own. It's unnatural to always be alone. The Bible says from the beginning in Genesis, it is not good for the man to be alone. The next one does touch on suicidality, and I am going to read these lyrics in more length. It's Gilbert O'Sullivan, Alone Again Naturally, and I want to throw in that Diana Krall, who is a fabulous pianist and singer. She does blues, and jazz. She's a great jazz pianist, but she does a beautiful rendition of this song originally recorded by Gilbert O'Sullivan called Alone Again Naturally. And here are the lyrics. In a little while from now, if I'm not feeling any less sour, I promise myself to treat myself and visit a nearby tower, and climbing to the top will throw myself off in an effort to make it clear to whoever wants to know what it's like when you're shattered.
When you're shattered.
When you're shattered.
Wow.
And the song goes on from there. But that brings in, he's talking suicide. He's talking about jumping off a tower. The next song is by the old country music singer Hank Williams. I'm so lonesome I could cry. And I promised that I would have one or two, but I only have one. I'm sorry. There's a song by Taylor Swift called The Outside. And here's what I want to share with you.
Are you a Swiftie fan, or are you just going to read
I couldn't name a single song of hers, to tell you the truth. Not that I don't like her, it's just that she's not in my generation.
Yeah.
This is what it says about Taylor Swift's song The Outside on the internet. One of the first songs Taylor Swift wrote soon after receiving her first guitar. She talked to Entertainment Weekly about what prompted her to write it. Quote, "It was when I was 12 years old and a complete outcast at school. I was taller and sang country music at karaoke bars and festivals on weekends while other girls went to sleepovers. Some days I woke up not knowing if anyone was going to talk to me that day at school." She felt like an outcast. She's come a long way from that, but
so she wrote this song at that age.
she was 12 years old. Yeah, she was precocious, all right. And a great songwriter right from the start. The thing I want to end with is not a song, but a movie. And it's also the title of one of the songs I mentioned. The movie is called Only the Lonely. It stars John Candy, who used to be one of my favorite comedians. I was very sad when he passed away. John Candy and Ali Sheedy. It is an offbeat film about an unlikely romance between a significantly overweight man who lives with his critical, controlling mother, his romance with an attractive woman, Ali Sheedy, who makes her living as a makeup artist at a funeral home. She comments in the course of the movie, I think she says it to John Candy, something to the effect that she's more socially comfortable with dead people than she is with the living. She's very awkward with, the living due to her extreme shyness, insecurities, which give rise to chronic loneliness in her life. But the movie is really, if you like offbeat movies and if you like John Candy, and Ali Sheedy back in the day was, a very good actress. It's a fun movie. It's a little bit bittersweet. But it does have some comedy in it, has romance, but it's also about two lonely people, only the lonely. And my final statement is that all of this, all that I just went through, which is just a small sampling of the songs. Remember I said before, one study discovered 208 songs about loneliness, and I'm not a gambling man, but I'd be willing to bet money that there are far more than just 208 songs about loneliness.
Big time.
But all of this is proof positive of the old saying, art imitates life.
Indeed.
In other words, let's pretend that loneliness wasn't a big deal. You wouldn't have hundreds of songs written about loneliness. But loneliness, mental health problems, unrequited love, all of these make their way into songs, movies, poetry, literature, novels, nonfiction, psychology books. Art imitates life. And unless you have any other comments?
So, I think it just begs the whole question of why shouldn't the United States do something similar to the UK? It's a national conversation. Music and the power of lyrics and music is a powerful tool. It's a universal language. So I would just say to our viewers out there, if you're lonely, sad, and you're relating to some of the videos we're doing on loneliness, talk to your preachers, talk to your clerics, talk to your friends, talk to legislators, talk to local organizations, nonprofits in your community. See if you can be an instigator to promote attempting to reduce loneliness in our culture. It would be a big help to the whole country.
And to tack on to that, it has an urgency because working in the field of psychology, I get this from my clients, I get it from talking to friends of mine, I get it from the books I read. It's getting worse,
Yes, not better.
not better.
No.
Now, as I've said in the previous video, loneliness existed way before COVID. COVID made it much worse.
Yes.
And even though we're, quote, somewhat out of the woods regarding COVID, it is still on the rise. So please listen to what John just said, and I say ditto to that. Talk to people, write letters to your congressman. Let's create a national conversation about this.
Yep. That's a wrap.
That's a wrap.
Thanks, Fred.
Ciao.
Ciao.